You're listening to an AINC original podcast. We believe you don't have to do life without a compass. Let us be your guide on this amazing journey. Welcome to Navigating Life with Vision Loss.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for Navigating Life with Vision Loss. I'm your host, Kim Wardlow. I just want to thank everyone who was on our hike this past week, Audio Information Network of Colorado, that produces this program. Had our fundraising hike this last weekend, and we were here in Chautauqua, right outside of Boulder, Colorado, and had hikers who are blind or had some level of vision loss. We had sighted hikers, sighted guides. So it was really a great event. So thank you for everyone who attended, and certainly to our sponsors. It was a fun event, and we'll be doing it again next year. So stay tuned for that. So today we're continuing our month of talking about leisure activities, and so much, especially in the summer, what we do, and other places too, but I think in Colorado there's a lot of emphasis on outdoor activities. So we're looking at another outdoor activity. Again, today we're looking at golfing. And we're going to be joined by Mark Arnold, who is with American Blind Golfers. So, Mark, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. Any opportunity to speak about the game, I'm up for.
Great. Well, I always start by asking folks, obviously, we'll be talking about your experience with golfing and those types of things, but I always like to start and ask guests if there's anything that they could share, willing to share with our listeners, maybe something that people wouldn't know about you or expect about you, something that's different.
Well, when I was in college, and certainly legally blind at the time, I went skydiving. So that was one of the more unusual things I've done over the course of my life.
That's exciting. Did you enjoy it?
Yes, if it wasn't so expensive and I wouldn't get so much grief from my now wife, with kids and a granddaughter, I think those days are long gone.
Right. I had a cousin who did a little bit of skydiving. She really enjoyed it. But once she had kids, she's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this now. So.
Responsibility takes over.
Yep. So, Mark, can you tell us a little bit about your vision loss story and how you started playing golf? Is this something you've done, since you were a kid? I know sometimes kids get into it because of their parents, but other folks, it's further down the road as they're in their careers and things, they take up golf.
Sure. I did learn the game when I was probably starting around 10. As far as my sight loss, I have Stargard's, as well as two of my brother and sister have it. My oldest sister did not. And onset took place probably right around when I was 9 or 10. So I started learning golf even when I had limited vision, but my father was a very good amateur golfer. And back in the 1960s, I'm sure his friends thought that he was kind of nuts, teaching me the game, particularly since my vision was going to continue to decline. But I loved it. I learned to play at a young age. I caddied for him. And through my teens and 20s, I became very good at the game. Not sounding boastful, but I carried a single-digit handicap, which is pretty good if there are folks listening who are golfers. But as my vision continued to decline, I wasn't competing with my buddies as well as I used to. And I sort of stumbled on blind golf and got involved. And for the last 20 years plus, it's certainly been a very integral part of my life.
For someone listening that might be interested in golf, I know we have a wide range of listeners. So we have folks who have had vision loss from birth or a young age, like yourself, that may be interested in golf and already have vision loss. And I know we have lots of listeners who are older and may have played golf for years, but now they've lost their sight and they're unsure about how they would continue to play or getting back on the golf course. Do you, what should people be aware of, or do you have advice for people in those different situations?
A couple things I would say is that the majority of people that are playing, blind and vision impaired golf typically have played golf at some point earlier in their life, either with much better vision or with normal vision. But I will add there is a person, Phil Blackwell, who I consider the best totally blind golfer I've ever met. Phil never took up the game until he lost his sight. So it can be done. But just a couple basic things starting out. The most important person in the game of blind golf is your coach or your caddy, if you want to use that term, and to have a consistent person that can assist you to learn the game and play the game is just vital to being consistent at learning the game. And if you're just exploring it, if you have someone that's willing to help you, I would say step one is to seek out a PGA, a professional golfer in your area that teaches the game, and let them work with you with your coach so that your coach can help, translate the information that a PGA professional might be trying to give you visually and not in tune to making everything verbal. But learning the game the correct way and having a consistent coach is vital. It is the difficulty, I think, with golf as far as blind and vision impaired folks go, is that it's just one of those games that you're going to really struggle with at the beginning. Sometimes I draw an analogy between chess and tennis. Nobody starts out and you would be able to do the activities and be good at it. It just takes time to learn the game. But it's a game it's filled with repetition. And once you can develop the feel and grasp the concepts of the swing, it can be done. And I've met so many blind golfers from across the world, and there are some that are extremely adept at what they do. They play extremely well.
Well, I would imagine even if you've been playing golf, to then approach it with some level of vision loss, especially if it's a more extreme level of vision loss, you would have another learning curve. Even if you know the game well, you'd still need to be patient with yourself too, and work with somebody.
It is a transition. It is a difficult transition, but most people that play golf, if you get hooked, you want to keep playing. And even though it may be frustrating as your vision deteriorates, you can adapt and still continue to play. There's a video demonstration with my fellow national director where he's being interviewed on our websites. And, he was a very accomplished golfer before he lost his sight. And he said when he decided to quit, it was because he could no longer get the thrill of watching the ball fly through the air and land on the green. And that's why he quit. But his wife wouldn't let him. And he said once he started to learn the techniques of blind golf, he just was exhilarated to play again. And he is now one of the best B2 golfers in the world.
Wow. Can you speak a little bit more to the techniques of blind golf? I know individuals that may be familiar with other types of adaptive sports, such as beep ball or even hockey, where a puck or a ball is making a sound. My understanding is that's not the case in golf. So what are the techniques that a blind person would use that's playing golf?
Okay. Maybe to answer that in a different realm, maybe I'll just go through in a very brief way how I would go about hitting a shot with my coach. So first of all, there truly are no adaptive pieces of equipment. The ball does not emit a sound. People are not tapping the cup or hitting a flagstick or anything to give you something to hone in on. But first and foremost, we cannot play without a coach. The coaches begin as we walked up to a shot, and I'll give a general example. So let's say we're lucky enough, we're in the fairway, we're 150 yards from the green. So as we get ready to hit the shot, my coach Randy will say, we're 150 yards out. He may or may not say if there is a bunker that's going to be in play or water. He may say if the pin is in the front of the green or the back of the green, but he'll at least let me know the yardage. And very quickly, between the two of us, we'll decide on what club we're going to hit. And then for me, because I have a little bit of residual vision, he will stand in front of me, and with the club, he will point to the target. Now, that's just an initial alignment for me. So I can then get myself in an initial position, but Randy will take the club head. As it's the club is in my hand, but he will take the club head and put it directly behind the ball. And he will hold it firm, and that is my key to know that's where I need to be set up. So I will take my full grip. I'll make sure my legs are in the right position, because we can't touch the ball. You are not allowed to touch the ball until you make the shot. And so when he gets up, he'll take a couple paces back behind me, just make sure we're lined up where he wants to go, and he'll say, looks good. And once he says looks good, that's my key to go ahead and start my swing and hit the ball. With a totally blind player, it's kind of hard to verbalize it, but many times they will take a golf club and hold it parallel to the ground and face their golfer, and then move them into position so that they are in the right stance to begin the procedure, like I just mentioned about putting the club behind the ball, making sure it's in alignment, and then go through the swing. But in a nutshell, our coaches are just getting us in the position to make the swing. So not oversimplifying it, but once a person can get the grasp of the golf swing, and they can begin to swing the club the way it's intended, then it's all in the coach's hands to get us in the position to get ready to make the swing and hopefully get a good result.
Yeah, so that sounds to me very similar maybe to a sighted guide on a hike or skiing, or somebody that gives you that information. So you're still doing the activity yourself, but they're giving you that information about your environment that you need.
And for those that are not familiar with the game, and particularly to those who do know the game and love it, you know, as a golfer, instantly when you strike that ball. Probably 90% of the time, I can sort of predict what the outcome is once I hit the ball. So you get an incredible amount of positive feedback when you've done it correctly. I mean, there is nothing, for those that are golfers, there's nothing like the feel of a well-struck golf shot. And as you're learning, you'll develop that feel, and you'll also develop a feel for, oh, I'll bet I hit that left, or I'll bet I hit that right, or I didn't quite get all of it. That's going to be way short of what we wanted to hit. So there is a tremendous amount of positive feeling and sound as you play the game.
Well, thank you for going over that step by step, because I think that's helpful for people to really understand how one would play and how they would interact with a coach as they were playing. I wanted to be sure we took some time to talk about American Blind Golf and how that got started, and just a little bit about your organization as well.
Well, I mentioned a little bit ago that I've played golf or played blind golf for a little over 20 years, and originally played with the U.S. Blind Golf Association and was a board member. And after about 10 years with them, we began to have some disagreements on fundraising initiatives and membership initiatives, and worked towards making some changes with the organization that just didn't turn out the way we had hoped. And numerous folks decided to leave the organization and establish American Blind Golf. So 2009, we established American Blind Golf with two major goals. We wanted to have a top-level competition at our two national championships, which our stroke play is in San Antonio and the national match play is here in Ohio, where I reside. And we've accomplished that very well over the last 14 years. We have top-level competitions when we hold our tournaments. But equally, or maybe even more important to us, is the second initiative, which is to use our talents to raise money for charities, particularly site-related charities, but not always. The tournament, the national match play here in Ohio that I host, we support several different adaptive technology scholarship and a couple other site-related charities. But we also support veteran initiatives, particularly Wounded Warriors. So that has kind of been our business model and has worked successfully over the last 14 years. At our tournament here in Ohio, in the pre-interview, I happened to mention one of the things I'm the most proud of, not only in golf, but maybe in my professional life, if you will. We've donated over $400,000 here in Ohio to all our charities, all just by putting on a blind golf tournament that our citizens and patrons from around the area have really supported. So we're very fortunate that we have supporters like we do. My partner, Bruce Hooper, the San Antonio Lighthouse, is the sponsor of our Stroke Play Championship. And I believe last year or the year before, in total, it's over $1 million we've raised for the San Antonio Lighthouse. So
that's amazing.
So I again in the pre-show interview, I chuckled a little bit and said, I still shake my head when we have our tournament here. We will have a fundraising scramble after the competition, the last day of the tournament, and to think that the local patrons pay $400 or $500 to play 18 holes with us still astounds me. But as a golfer, if people who play golf and are fully sighted, they know how hard the game is to begin with. And to think that people can play very limited sight or no sight at all. It just astounds them. And when they come, yeah, they'll see a lot of bad shots, but they'll see some amazing golf being played. So so far, I feel very fortunate. We've been very lucky.
And how would a person get in touch with you or your organization if they're interested in that, or how does a person work with your organization if they're not necessarily in Ohio, or local, but are interested in golf?
Sure. First of all, the two websites, very easy to remember. Our main website is AmericanBlindGolf.com, and the tournament here in Ohio is Ohio Blind Golf. And there's links where you can send us emails on the Ohio site. My phone number is on there. I don't have any problem in people picking up the phone and giving a call, shooting a text. There are demonstration videos. The same demonstration videos are on both websites. If someone is interested, have someone that's a friend that might be a coach or someone, take a look at the demonstration video. That one, actually, I'm the one playing a few holes where they followed me around and went through the techniques, and they would be able to see how a coach interacts with a player. So those two websites, the American Blind Golf website is woefully a little bit behind, but all the information there is there to send us an email or give us a call.
And do you have any recommendations for someone who is maybe trying to find other golfers who are blind or have vision loss in their area? Are there any other more localized types of organizations that you know of?
That is the $6 million question. And if you would want to use the term that blind golf is a niche sport, as blind hockey is a niche sport, as our sports are kind of a little bit of a niche activity, that's the most difficult part. The hardest part about doing what we do is when people contact us and say, well, how can I get a coach? Or can you give instructions? And the unfortunate answer is, we just don't have a way to deliver that. And that's why, going back to the beginning part of the interview, if you're thinking about it and you have a friend, a buddy, a relative that would be willing to help you, go and seek out a PGA professional and go to a driving range and give it a shot. And you'll probably miss the ball 10 straight times and you'll get frustrated, and all of a sudden something will click and you'll make contact, or you'll make a putt on a green if you practice, and you might just get hooked. But it is difficult to get started, but it's so worth it if you can give it a shot. And what do you have to lose? If you're a blind or vision impaired person and you want to be active and you want to do different things, give it a try. If it doesn't work out, there's all kinds of sports out there, but it just might get you hooked.
Yeah. Well, and really just an opportunity to advocate for yourself. And like you said, have a friend or family member go to your local golf course, talk to them about a professional that might be able to help you. So really advocating for yourself, maybe start your own group if you have other friends with vision loss that are wanting to play. You could start your own blind golf club maybe.
Sure. I live probably within, about 50 miles from Cleveland, and there is the Cleveland Sight Center, and they do have their group. And they probably have 20 people, and they go once a week to a local golf course, and they take some lessons, and they go out and play a few holes. So My guess is if you get in touch with some of the local agencies that provide services to blind and vision impaired folks, you might be surprised to find there are some in your area, that the word maybe just hasn't gotten out.
Well, I know golf is very popular, and so I can't imagine if you did a little bit of research and digging, you would find someone, and maybe someone who's been playing and has adapted and continues to play after losing some vision. So I'm sure those folks are out there, as you said, in other low vision and blind groups in the area.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that you'd like to let our listeners know or encouragement for them?
Well, maybe just in a little wrap up, I know that it has been, the game of golf has been just very rewarding to me. I was in education for 35 and a half years, and for me to be able to go out and play golf a little bit with superintendents and fellow teachers and other people, it enriched my professional life as much as it did being a leisure activity. And being involved with it so long, I've been lucky enough to play golf most of the states around the United States, and played golf in Northern Ireland and Japan, and it certainly opened up a world for me. So besides just the little leisure activity, you never know what other offshoots you might get to enjoy because of it.
That's true. And I think many people have started to play golf for work-related reasons.
Sure.
And to be able to interact with people in their work environments or clients. So I could see where that would also be a benefit. There's
always golf outings for just about all businesses. And if whomever you happen to work for, if there's a scramble and word gets out that such and such a company is bringing their blind golfer with them, that company is going to attract a lot of attention.
Right.
So there are lots of benefits to the game, that's for sure.
Well, I really appreciate you taking time to talk with us, and I'm sure our listeners have learned a lot, and maybe folks that didn't even consider that golf was a possibility, hopefully they will go out and try it. As you said, I think people will be hooked, or continue golfing for folks that have been golfing for years. And as you mentioned, your friend not feel like they had to give it up just because they've lost some vision.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us. Next week, we are going to be talking with Mike Curtis. He's from Mind's Eye, which is another reading service in the St. Louis area, but they have an extensive adaptive sports program and even a national beep ball tournament. So we're going to be talking with him next week about some of the programs and the things that they're doing there. So we hope that you join us again as we continue talking about sports and leisure activities. We hope that the information that we shared today with you and in our other podcasts help you to navigate your life with vision loss.